Washington Football Live on a Friday. Julie Donaldson and my all-star analyst, Santana Moss. You didn't ever have to worry too often about this day because this day, being Friday, is the day before cut-down day. And typically in the past, you would have had a series of days where you would shorten the roster. But coming into this season, because of COVID, they had 90 to begin with. And they just said, no, because of COVID, we're just going to have 80. So there are 80 players here at training camp. And tomorrow, you'll go to the 53-man roster and see what this team is charged with going forward. So it is time now for the X's. And this is presented by Pepsi. Santana, when it comes to cut down day, were there guys, because there's probably a few people and a few players on this team now they're sitting there going like, whoa, they just cut Adrian. That came to us as a surprise. Maybe others that say, you know what, it might not have been something they should be so surprised at. But for players, did you ever in your career come across guys who's like, wait, they made that decision and he's no longer my teammate?
That's every year. I mean, I played 14 years, and from my rookie year in New York all the way into my 14th season here as a Redskin, I've seen guys that they was a shoo-in. I mean, the things that they did on the field, how they played in the preseason games, that's one of the things that's a lot different this year. You can't even judge these guys or grade these guys because you have no preseason. But I've seen it year in and year out, and it's hard because you understand the business a little more once you see those kind of cuts done.
When you also go through it, I mean, what do you say to a teammate after they've been cut?
The thing that I'm pretty sure that all the guys who've been in that situation here from everybody is just keep your head up and keep your feet on the gas. You know, one of the things about this league is that's like, you know, just speaking with Adrian this morning, how you said that he said, hey, you know, he understand, how things go down. He's shocked, but he understands there's 31 more teams. If this team doesn't need you, it's someone else needs you. So these guys understand that stuff that they put on film is going to be graded by all the other teams. So if they know that they can rest assured and say, hey, I went out there and gave them my all and put some good stuff on tape, then they might have a chance to go play elsewhere.
Adrian said that he's still processing, the decision that was made today. I mean, he thought that he was going to be a lot. Coach had called on him to be a leader of this team and used him as an example, called out, say he's an example of what it takes to be the consummate professional, to be able to keep doing it year in and year out. And so a lot of people are sitting back going like they did not see this coming. But for guys that like have the mindset coming into this, again, Adrian was caught by surprise by this, as a lot of people are. But there are guys that are aware that they're the bubble guy, that Saturday might be something with dread. What is the mental space for some of those players?
It's nerve-wracking, and fortunately, I'm glad that I never had to have those kind of nerves going into a game, or just knowing that
you're never on the bubble.
I mean, I was once before, and I'm gonna share that with you. But I'm saying for these guys that are experiencing this, I never had to experience a moment when I'm going into a game and saying this game can decide my future. So I saw a lot of those guys. I've had guys that I shared agents with, and these guys was guys that I took under my wing, knowing that I was, their elder, their OG, and I'm like, look, I can take care of the part that's going to be the most stressful and let you have a house or let you have a home or a bed to lay down at. But I had those conversations with those guys and saw how critical those games were. And half of the time when you're thinking that hard and you're that nervous about something, you don't go out there and put a good product on the field. So I hate to see those guys in those situations. I would have probably took a different approach to just say, hey, I understand what's going on. Let me just go out here and play and not worry about what could be at stake.
Coach was saying that without the preseason, typically that's where you'd be able to make those decisions on the bubble guys. Can they at least contribute on special teams? Is there something that flashes? You don't have that opportunity. He said if I'm to be honest, and if teams are to be honest, they're not going to entirely be sure that they're going to make all these decisions correctly. They just have to go on what the best that they've seen in practice, the flashes that have been seen in practice. Are there guys that you've seen where maybe, you think like, okay, they're not out, but at the last few days, they managed to step up and have those moments and then change the mindset of the coaches?
Yeah, every year you get one of those guys. And then I'm pretty sure last year, a few years ago, we had those guys here too. So there's going to be guys today that's going to make a move or two in practice, and coach is going to say, hey, we can't pull the string on that guy. You know what I mean? So I understand how it is when it comes down to just, especially in the circumstances this year, with no preseason, not having those games to really count on, grading those guys, it's a tough process. But you hope there's going to be a few guys that you can always say that at the end of the day, at worst, we can put them on the block, and hopefully no one picks him up and we can grab him back and put him on our practice squad.
Yeah, Coach also said that he wants to make sure that he doesn't shortchange Nate Katzer, head of special teams, and trying to keep certain guys because they fill a good position group, but they can't perform, and then he doesn't have the players that he needs to make sure that special teams can round out this team. I semi-joked with you, just a little bit earlier that you weren't on the bubble, only because Santana was never a bubble guy. He always had a locked position, but there was a season where apparently you weren't aware of this, but it was going around that you were on the bubble, unaware, and really you weren't, but tell us a little bit about that situation.
I've been dying to tell you this story. So honestly, my last year here, 2014, my 14th season in the league, I get approached by some media personnel, and they say, hey, I want to speak with you about, how does it feel to be on the bubble this year? And I kind of brushed it off because I'm like, I don't know, damn bubble. And, lo and behold, I get the rundown of what's going to partake in our third preseason game. The third preseason game is always the game where the starters or the guys who play a lot play those first 2 quarters. And when I got the breakdown, I'm like, Coach basically wrote in there, Tanner, you coming in the second quarter and you're going to play the next 2 quarters. And I'm like, well, damn, maybe I'm on the bubble for real. So honestly, that didn't sit well with me, but I'm glad that it wasn't something that I had to dwell on the entire week. It was brought to my attention that day of the game. And it kind of fueled a little fire underneath, something that was already burning in me because I saw how things was moving. It's easy for you to see as a guy who had a long stint in this league how things are playing out. I didn't need to be told that I was getting less time. It was given. I saw it. They had a guy in front of me that didn't deserve it, I don't think, because we never had a chance to fight for the job. But I understand when you're the older guy and you have a new coach, you don't owe him nothing, he don't owe you nothing. They try to find a way to push you out. Long story short, I got in the game in the second quarter against we was playing the Baltimore Ravens in the third preseason game. I scored like in 3 plays. And Sean McVay wanted to keep me in there because he was told to keep me in there. And Jay came over to me and said, I saw enough. You don't have to worry about playing no more. I sat on that cooler steaming hot. I mean, I was on fire hot. And I'm like, damn it. And I had to go out here and do this to these guys. But, it was nothing in my mind that could tell me that you would cut me because I felt like how Adrian feels today. Like, I put everything on the field. I've been leading from day one. Now, if you let this thing been open and said this is a competition for this position and you just didn't pan out, I understand. But when you have to make those decisions and not giving a guy his right to fight for the job, then you can't come to me and tell me that you see other or I haven't lived up to your expectations because I know I put good stuff on tape.
Well, this one was kept pretty much under wraps that it was a decision that was coming down, but it was a decision that the coaching staff had been taken seriously and had been looking at for quite a while. They did decide today to release Adrian Peterson. Cut down day will be tomorrow, where you get to the 53. Tana, we like story time with Tana. I love that. It's like, nope, I scored on 3 plays. I'm safe. I'm good. No bubble.